everyone, and welcome back to the lead pile. On this video we are going to be painting what is quite possibly the easiest army in the Middle-earth strategy battle game, and that is the Dead of Dunharrow, also known as the Army of the Dead. So yes, we're painting ghosts, so the first thing we're going to do is spray the model pure white and the other model black. Now this is just to show you the difference with the two techniques that you can achieve. So with the black model, I'm going to take an old makeup brush and I'm going to apply quite a heavy grey dry brush. Now this is a heavy dry brush. I'm wanting just to leave the recesses in the original black base coat. That's going to provide the shadows for the painting to come. And so after that's been applied and you let it dry, you're then left with a model which is basically now grey apart from those recesses. So we're going to take another brush, and this time we're going to apply again quite a heavy but not as heavy dry brush of white. This is entirely up to you how intense you put this on. Some people just like to use a very light dry brush and only have the fine edges in white, but I like quite a bold colour, so I'm going to apply it a little bit more heavy. Like we say, we're just trying to get that final highlight so that when we apply contrast paints, that's going to really stand out and pop. So there we can see the difference between the white model and our Zenithal primed, dry brush slap chop primed model, and they're both ready to go. So what we would expect to see here is quite a difference in the final effect that our contrast paint Hexwraith Flame is going to have on the miniature. If you prefer quite a dark, dingy, almost grimdark look to your miniatures, then you might prefer this method. By doing that initial two-stage grey and then white undercoat, we're now going to apply the contrast paint, and that's going to be put on pretty liberally. We're really just slapping it on there, hence the slap chop name, and we're going to just let that paint work its way into all the recesses, and when it dries, that's going to leave those really extreme white highlights that we applied via a dry brush to stand out with the palest green. And so, like we said, you could easily smash out entire armies in this method if you wanted, and this is just applying just that little bit more effort than the other method with the white base coat, because you have that two-stage dry brush. But we're talking minutes really. It's not a long or tedious process, and if you're after that more dark, grimy look, it's definitely something to consider. And as you can see there, that's how quickly it takes to apply your single coat of one paint, and you can see how easily it would be to paint an entire army. So with that model finished, we can then reload our brush, and you do really want to get quite a lot of this contrast paint on. Use quite a thick brush and try and just use nice smooth strokes to get as much of that paint over the miniature as you can. And straight away you can see that this model is a lot brighter blue ghosty colour. That's also perfectly fine. You can use your choice of contrast paint. I've gone with the green to match with the films, a little bit more than the blue that Games Workshop use. But as we can see there, this model really was super fast to paint. It was a white spray. It was just a cheap white plastic primer from Halfords. It wasn't even an expensive spray. And then we're just slapping on the Hexwraith Flame, working it right into the folds of the cloak with the brush. Again, using a large brush to really make sure we can get that on and I'm not being very careful at all. This really is a fast paint job. I'm just slapping that colour on, covering the whole model, and that's done in seconds. And if you were to upscale that across an entire army, which in itself is only about 30 odd models, then this really is the fastest and easiest paint job in the Middle-earth strategy battle game. And of course, you paint in the base with that greeny glow. That's optional. You could decide to base your model with sand and grit, or really try and have kind of somewhat of a graveyard or tomb base. However, I've decided to keep with the ghost theme, and so I'm painting the bases with that green colour. And there we go. When we see the two models side by side, both having allowed to dry, you can see that whilst they were the same paint that was used, due to the difference in the base coat, you have the one on the left really popping, very vibrant green, and then the one on the right, that darker shade of green. And then, because this is a super easy, super fast build, we're simply going to take some cotton wool, or you can use this was actually the inside of a dog's toy, and you can just simply twist that around the base. You don't even need to glue it on, because you'll find that that cloak has enough grabbing points to hold on to that fluff, and you can spread it around to look like some kind of eerie ghost. There we go. We have some more for the model on the right as well. So it's your choice. You say in the comments what you think were better there. You could take this further as well. You could go back and you can paint in metallics with a bronze or a rusty color, or you could even pick out some of the more fine details as well if you wanted to. But this is just to show you how quickly you can get an army painted and on the table for the Middle-earth strategy battle game. So I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. I'm half tempted to do a video in the future where I just paint an entire army and show you how quickly that can be done. But I think that this is hopefully going to just give you a little bit of inspiration if you've got some ghosts for Middle-earth or for any gaming system at home. Just get those contrast paints on and look how quickly you can get an army on the table.